Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and before you can see quite a gruesome scene has taken place, and we have probably one of the most gruesome scenes that has ever appeared on my channel. This is a model that I have been really excited about. I've been promoting it for quite a while in the news videos, and it came out probably a couple months ago, maybe a month or two ago at this point. And it's taken me a little while to honestly get this painted up to the point where I really was happy with it. I was kind of unsure what to do with the Rex. I really wanted to make it have like a nice darker color scheme because I always feel like the big bulky looking Tyrannosaurs look really good with the darker color schemes. So it took me a little while to actually decide that this was the paint scheme I liked for it, and there's nothing flashy with it at all. It's just, a nice dark color scheme, basically a brownish version of a Tyrannosaurus. But this is the Passion Charger Tyrannosaurus Rex versus Edmontosaurus type of a scene, and it is probably one of the coolest models that I've ever seen in my entire life. As you can see here, it obviously displays a really big and bulky and absolutely amazing looking Tyrannosaurus Rex that is leaning over the carcass of an Edmontosaurus that I assume he has either killed and obviously has been eating or maybe stumbled upon and is now scavenging on it. Whatever the case may be, the model created by Passion Charger is just unbelievable here in person. I have now reviewed three, I believe, models from Passion Charger. I have three other models in my collection, and those models are all some of the best that I have in my collection. This one is potentially the best and probably the coolest model that I've ever had the opportunity to take a look at and own from Passion Charger. It is just honestly incredible. And instead of me just continuing to tell you that, we're just going to go ahead and show you that right now with a closer look. So we will start with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, obviously, who is the, I guess you would say, the star of the show here, although that deceased Edmontosaurus does look really quite cool. But of course, the paintwork that you'll see on this was done by me. This comes as a totally unassembled and unpainted kit. You have to paint it up yourself and build it, which is, in my opinion, half the fun, because then you can create something that you can be proud of and, something that you painted up in your own vision. But as far as the actual detailing aspect of this Rex goes from Passion Charger, you can see that the head sculpt is just incredible. There is so much beautiful skin texture to be found all over this Rex, and you can see that throughout the entire model up here on the head, and both sides are equally as impressive when it comes to the detailing aspect, really capturing again that really big and bulky Tyrannosaurus look that we all know and love. And you can definitely see that the sculpt is pretty much next level, and that's usually what you find when it comes to Passion Charger. Their releases just honestly blow my mind with how unbelievably and insanely highly detailed the models always are, and this Rex is definitely a very good example of that. You can see that the head sculpt looks fantastic. Again, you've got a really nice nostril sculpted out right there. The detailing around the eye as well is really beautifully done. Very tough looking skin, I would say, for the appearance of this Rex. You can see that there's like some osteoderms down here on the lower jaw, and if we can get nice and close to the mouth, it's a little hard to get close on the opposing side, but you can see how awesome looking the lower jaw is and the teeth and everything. Of course, I've given it a really bloody appearance as it is feasting on a dinosaur, a deceased dinosaur. You can see the detailing there on the inside of the mouth also looks really nice, and if we can actually get some really nice light in there, the actual back of the throat is insanely impressive, if you ask me. So if we try to shine some light there into the back of the throat, you can really see, I think, sort of how nice that looks. It's really incredible how much the detailing aspect of the inside of the mouth can really change the overall realism of a model, because this thing just looks, again, about as lifelike as it gets. All of the teeth are all sculpted really nicely. They're all sculpted individually, which you can see, so they just look absolutely beautiful as well. As we lead back here into the neck, you can see lots of really nice creasing going on here, as the Rex obviously has its entire body curved in a left-leaning position, and you can see the, again, creasing and everything right there. And you can also just generally pick up on how big and bulky that neck is of the Tyrannosaurus. You can even see like some skin down here, like there's just so much bulk in that neck, and they've sculpted it out so perfectly to show that off. You could see, especially right here, like you could see how it starts out up here, but then just gets really big and bulky down here. in the throat region of the Tyrannosaurus. You can see the same thing over here, but of course the skin is stretching on this side as opposed to bunching up because the Rex has its head turned in the opposite direction, so it would obviously be stretching that skin really nicely, and that is shown perfectly within the sculpt. The texturing of the skin also looks beautiful throughout this entire model. The underside here does sport a really nicely detailed appearance to the underside of the throat, very nicely done there as well. You've got those really nice and short Tyrannosaur arms that look really good. Very nicely sculpted out fingers, which is a little hard to see, but they definitely look quite nice. As we lead up here into the body, again, the detailing aspect is insane. First of all, the skin texture continues to look incredible, as it always does when it comes to a Passion Charger release. But you can see the stomach region, again, the big bulky feel of this Tyrannosaurus. The leg is pushing into the stomach, and that detailing is shown off so nicely in the sculpt. Like, from every vantage point that you look at it, you can see just how beautiful that skin detail is sculpted out into the model here. You can see really nicely right here, again, that the leg is pushing into the stomach, just bunching all of that skin up so beautifully. The upper side of the Tyrannosaurus also looks great. You can see the spinal column running down the length of the dinosaur right there. If you take a look here over at the initial side, the kind of stronger side, I guess you could say, you can see both arms are kind of in the same position. They're both tucked back into the body in a really nice natural position as the dinosaur lets out a roar, because it looks like it's kind of defending its food from potentially another Tyrannosaur, and that's really the feel that I get as far as the positioning of the body. You can see more really beautiful skin texture and everything down here, and again, just the really big bulky feel of the Rex there in the stomach region. Like, you can really tell that this Tyrannosaur is well fed for sure. Nice skin wrinkles and everything right here, again showing off the movement of that leg kind of pushing into the body. You can pick up on the hip bone right there a little bit, but it's definitely not overly defined. Very nice muscle tone in both the thigh and calf region. Right there in the joint of the knee, you can see again some more really nice skin wrinkles as the leg is bending and curling. You can see the kneecap is present there in the front of the leg. And we have a beautiful scoot-like appearance down the feet, down into the toes. I do have some blood here on this foot because, of course, the area that it is standing in would probably warrant some blood showing up on the foot, which you'll see once I put it back on the base. But as you lead out into the tail, you can see again some more really nice creasing going on right here, showing off that curve of the tail as the tail is kind of curved in the same position that the rest of the body is in. And the texturing of the skin looks great the entire way out. The model honestly is so highly detailed, it pretty much paints itself. And then if we take a look over here again, we have that very nice big bulky thigh and calf region of the Tyrannosaur. Again, the really nice creasing right there in the skin where the leg bends. Beautiful kneecap right there in the front, and then we have the foot sculpt over here, which again, we have those beautiful scoots down the toes, down at the entire course of the foot actually, and the very nicely sculpted out nails. They look very lifelike, very realistic, and they genuinely look sharp, which means it's again another very realistic aspect of the model. And of course we do have the dew claws present, which you can see on both sides. There's a hole right here because that is where we connect our Rex to the base. But as we lead back here into the tail, again, the tail looks phenomenal from every vantage point that you could possibly see it from. And then the underside of the Rex also sports some incredible detailing throughout the entire model, which is just shown brilliantly throughout the sculpt. So the Rex is incredibly awesome. And then we've got our deceased Edmontosaurus, which, as you can see, the dinosaur is incredibly beat up. It is just in bad shape in every area. You can see that the throat has been ripped out, and in fact the dinosaur doesn't really have much left of the second half, as it is obviously now just beyond mangled. We can see bones and everything sticking out back here. Some internal organs as well as the intestines and everything are present, and there's just so many like slices and cuts and everything throughout the entire dinosaur. Even actually if we go up here, you could see some bite marks. So my gut is telling me that this Edmontosaurus was probably taken down with a bite to the neck, and that definitely looks to be the case right there by the bite marks right there, which I really love that. You know, normally with a model like this, you wouldn't see such realism. Again, you wouldn't see like specifically bite marks or anything. It's usually just a dead dinosaur, but Passion Charger always goes the extra mile with everything they do to create the most realistic appearance possible, and they definitely have pulled that off, even including things like bite marks there in the neck. Again, some more wounds throughout the entire dinosaur. As we lead up here into the face, you can see that the nostrils are sculpted out very nicely, as is the beak. The beak is beautifully sculpted, sporting some really nice detail that is absolutely a joy to paint. And in general, the entire sculpt of the Edmontosaurus looks fantastic. Like, it is a really beautiful Edmontosaurus from Passion Charger, and their release right after this was actually an Edmontosaurus, so there is a living version as well. And in fact, it actually has an entire family out. As far as the Passion Charger line goes, there's an entire family diorama of an Edmontosaurus. But this is just incredible looking as far as like even the fine detail. Like when you get nice and close, you can see that the texturing of the skin of what's left of this Edmontosaurus looks phenomenal. You have some nice ridges that run along the back of the Edmontosaurus. Very nicely sculpted out legs and everything down here, and again is showing off the fact that the dinosaur is absolutely deceased. The legs are leaning down. And again, all of the gore, I guess you could say, is beautifully sculpted and is actually a lot of fun to paint, because it's not something that I get to paint very often, would be this kind of like a gory scene of a deceased dinosaur. So it was even more fun than your average model getting to paint something like that. And then the base itself, which you can see has intestines and all kinds of things. There's even some bones and stuff laying all over the place. So the base itself is a mangled, destroyed mess of a deceased dinosaur, as well as a really nice earthy area that does sport a beautiful textured appearance to the ground, looking incredibly lifelike, just like the dinosaurs themselves. You've got some like rocks and stuff here and there. Again, we have the Passion Charger name right here where the Edmontosaurus lays. You can again see some of the gore right here with the intestines and stuff laying throughout the ground. And once you lay your Edmontosaurus onto it, it all ties together so beautifully. But again, the base is incredibly highly detailed, just as beautiful as the models themselves, and a very realistic looking area. And on the underside, I actually even have the autograph down here, which is super awesome, even showing the date of when I was able to acquire this. So this is definitely a great collector's piece for me, having that. And you can see the peg right here where the Tyrannosaurus goes on. The Edmontosaurus doesn't have a peg or anything. You don't have to connect it in any way like that. You just have to find the spot that it lays in, and then it just ties itself all together and looks extremely sad, but really cool at the same time. But we'll check out how to apply your Rex right now. So to apply your Tyrannosaurus to the base, again, I did state that there is a little hole right here, and then there's a peg right there. So I think it's fairly obvious that we're going to have to match those up. And then if we can do that, it's a little hard to see behind the camera. There are actually some areas for the toes, so kind of like some footprints there to help you line up where the Rex actually goes. And I don't have it in the correct spot at all, but now I do. There's also a footprint over here. If we turn it around, you may not be able to see it too well, but right here for this foot, there is a footprint down here as well. And then once you line the footprint up with the feet, there we go, it just went into place. Your Rex stands perfectly, and the entire diorama, now that I moved the Edmontosaurus, unfortunately, there we go. The entire diorama is set and looking unbelievable. As far as a size goes for our Passion Charger Edmontosaurus Tyrannosaurus scene, for a length, the dinosaur honestly is really quite big. It definitely has a hefty size to it, but the fact that it's in such a curled up position makes it seem, I guess, a little less impressive in the size department. But honestly, if this Rex were like spread out, its tail out and everything, its head sticking straight out, this would be a very large Rex figure. But for a length, if we just go like right here, you are looking at about 6 3/4 inches, or about the 17 centimeter mark, maybe about 17.5 centimeters if we go right there. For a height to the back of the Rex, you are looking at about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. Again, it makes it sound like it's not all that large, but if this Rex were standing up tall and not so crouched to the ground, it would definitely be a very impressive size for a Rex. So take that into consideration when it comes to those measurements. And if you don't believe me as far as that goes, for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. And I just took out Muldoon right there. Oh boy, I cannot get him to stand now because I stood him up in the wrong spot. But if you can see these models in comparison to the Rex here, you should have a pretty good idea of the fact that they are a very similar size. And in fact, I would say that the Papo Rex right there is probably the same scale as the Passion Charger Rex that we have here before us, and definitely sizes up really well in comparison to each other. Although the Passion Charger Rex is clearly much more impressive than the Paporex, but you should definitely also be able to tell that as far as a size goes, they are a very similar scale. So this Passion Charger Tyrannosaurus Rex eating a deceased Edmontosaurus scene is easily one of the coolest things that I have in my collection because it is just so unbelievably highly detailed that it is honestly jaw-dropping in person, and there is definitely no other way to term this other than jaw-dropping, because not only do you get some beautiful, very highly detailed models, you get a really gruesome scene taking place before you that 110% happened when these dinosaurs were alive. There was probably many a times that Tyrannosaurus fed on Edmontosaurus, and it's really cool to have a scene of that kind of taken straight out of history and very gory and brought to life by Passion Charger, and they've brought it to life in such a beautiful way. Again, the Tyrannosaur here is probably my favorite appearance of a Tyrannosaur that we've had ever. I really love that big, bulky, very intimidating look to Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is currently what we believe is obviously the most accurate interpretation of a Tyrannosaurus. So it's really up to date as far as the appearance of this Rex goes, and I really am a big fan, again, of that look. It really makes the Tyrannosaurus look like the king of the dinosaurs and just so impressive when it comes to the overall bulky body, and Passion Charger has captured that big bulky look of the Rex here perfectly, and on top of capturing it perfectly, they've created such a really cool dramatic positioning for the dinosaur as it's down on the ground defending its kill or potentially what it has scavenged, but it's obviously defending the corpse here that it is feasting upon from something else, potentially another Tyrannosaur, and everything about this shows that scene off perfectly. Like the entire appearance of the dinosaur looks like that's exactly what it's doing, curling its tail up around the corpse of the Edmontosaurus, turning its head around the Edmontosaurus, almost looking like it's kind of like covering up the kill and just trying to conceal it a little bit so whatever it is obviously quite angry at cannot even get close to the kill, because obviously this Rex wants to continue to eat it itself. So they've really captured that appearance perfectly as far as the positioning of the body. And as usual, every ounce of detailing as far as like the skin wrinkles, the skin folds, the texturing, everything is perfect on this. Like, when you talk about highly detailed models, I honestly don't know that it gets any better than a Passion Charger release, because they capture everything. Like, there is just nothing on their models that I can see that is missed ever. Like, they just always pull off the most highest of quality sculpts when it comes to a detailing aspect. The Edmontosaurus as well, although very sad looking as it is now deceased, is incredibly well sculpted as far as the portion of the Edmontosaurus that we do have here, and really complements the Rex and the overall model and diorama that we have here. But the Edmontosaurus, even just being a corpse, there is no laziness when it comes to a Passion Charger release, because they go the extra mile as well when it comes to sculpting out the deceased dinosaur. This Edmontosaurus is very, very highly detailed, even when it comes down to the area that is currently being devoured by our Tyrannosaurus. Like, the actual area that's ripped open and is currently being consumed by our Tyrannosaurus is beautifully sculpted. Like, all of the internal organs and like the intestines and even like the muscle of the dinosaur, it's all beautifully sculpted out throughout this model, and including areas like the bones sticking out. Like, you can see the rib cage, you can see the spinal column and everything running along. There's even some bones kind of down on the ground that have been separated from the dinosaur already. It's all incredibly well done, and that extends out onto the base, and the gore doesn't just stop with the dinosaur. Obviously, we have tons of it all over the base as well, which continues to show off just how unbelievable and how realistic the model is, because obviously with a dinosaur like this that's been torn to pieces, you're going to find pieces of it laying around on the ground. So they've captured that aspect and that realistic aspect of the scene taking place as well. So it's, again, just one of the most impressive models that I personally have ever seen in my entire life, and I cannot give you any higher of a recommendation as far as a model goes than this right here. This is just an unbelievable in every way model of a Tyrannosaurus and an Edmontosaurus. Very sad scene yet again, but a beautiful scene at the same time. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to both Passion Charger on Facebook, where you can contact them and inquire further about purchasing one straight from Passion Charger. You can also contact me if you would choose to order from Passion Charger and you don't have social media. You can contact me and I can contact them for you to kind of be the middleman and help you order one. Or you can just go straight to Dan's Dinosaurs and order one from there as well, as he is also selling the Passion Charger line. And they actually have a lot more Passion Charger models on Dan's Dinosaurs, even more so than what I've actually reviewed, as I've now reviewed 2 different Pseudoceratops and a Teratophonius, and now obviously the Tyrannosaurus. There's also a ton of models prior to me learning of Passion Charger that Dan has on there as well. So lots of stuff on Dan's Dinosaurs. So make sure you check out Passion Charger on Facebook, or again, contact me to contact them for you, or check out Dan's Dinosaurs. One way or another, definitely pick up this model if you are interested, because it is just unbelievable. And make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.